we've got a pretty fun idea here for you guys. We have a tier list, and we are going to be doing our NBA season preview in a full tier list of every NBA team. Now, let me pull this up real quick.
Yeah, please do. I mean, I think this is a fantastic idea, and it is something to look back on at the end of the season that you can laugh at us and be like, oh, you thought this team was going to be ass, but they're actually pretty good. So we'll see what happens with that down the line. But that being said, yeah, I'm excited to get right into this. Here we go. Talk me through what we're looking at here.
All right, so here's our tier list. Going from top to bottom, we have finals favorites,
okay,
contenders, frisky, teams that might just be a little fun.
Yep.
Giannis wants out, play-in purgatory, tankathon, and of course, at the bottom, the Washington Wizards tier.
Okay.
Alex, we're starting with the Milwaukee Bucks, and this one feels like a pretty easy answer to me. I don't know about you.
It kind of feels like this team could slide into the Giannis wants out tier. I'm not sure if it really fits anywhere else, but that feels like the place that team should go.
Yeah, I'm going to slide the Bucks into Giannis wants out.
Okay.
We have gotten used to the Bucks being one of those teams that we think of as finals favorites, or contenders, if not finals favorites.
Yep.
But over the last couple of years, they've had a hard time putting pieces around him that make him happy, and that has developed his game. But at this point, you look at that roster now, and you're pretty much like, all right, this is just Giannis, and he's made it pretty clear that he doesn't want to be there anymore.
Yeah, I think you could also add on to the fact that they haven't made it out of the first round, and I think since 2021 when they won the title.
22, they played us in the ECF. It's been since then.
So since then. So they've been struggling with a lot of head coaching changes. Mike Budenholzer obviously leaves. Doc Rivers, some other guys that they got into the building. I think they had Frank Vogel at one point. Like, they've just kind of been in. It's not quite the play-in purgatory that the Atlanta Hawks are in, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, at some point. But this team just seems middling. They've dealt with a lot of injuries. They had to offload Chris Middleton this offseason. Like they've had guys like Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez miss time. This is an aging roster. You're not expecting them to really be the team. But like even last year, when they played the Indiana Pacers in the first round, I think a lot of people expected them to walk out of that series victorious. And then they get swept. Right. So you never really know what you're going to have with this Milwaukee Bucks team, because it feels like right now anything in the first round of the playoffs is going to send them home, despite the fact that they have such a game ending player, a top 3 player in the league.
Absolutely. And they've also moved on from that core group of guys that they had. Drew Holiday is gone. Chris Middleton is gone. Brook Lopez is gone.
Yeah.
So you added Miles Turner.
Pat Connaughton is gone.
Oh, that's going to change things. You added Miles Turner, who is a very dependable center in this league.
Agreed.
Obviously.
I'm shocked he left Indiana.
Indiana wasn't going to pay him. They're also in a retooling year. Yeah. But at the same time, he's not the guy that's going to move the needle for you. He plays a very specific role on a team, and he's very good at it.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not really the presence that you needed to go as an accompanying piece to Giannis. So, yes, we have them in Giannis wants out. This was obviously a tier that we made just to make fun of the Bucks because I don't like them as a team, and I know that you don't either. But yeah, I just don't think that they're going to be very good this year. Now, moving on to the Brooklyn Nets.
Yes.
I've got a shocking place where I think this should go. I think they should be the first team in the Washington Wizards tier. They are going to be so bad. They're going to be so bad.
They're going to be really bad. I agree. They will be at the bottom of the Eastern Conference this year. That being said, I think I'm going to watch some games. They're going to have 2 of the biggest low-efficiency shot chuckers in the entire league on their team, in Cam Thomas and Michael Porter Jr. I don't hate their rookie class. I really didn't like their rookie class coming out of the draft. I thought Igor Demon went too high. I thought Danny Wolf is probably not going to translate for a few years. Drake Powell, I didn't love at UNC. They have a lot of guys on this roster that I feel like need to prove something this year. And the more that I look at it, the more I'm like, wow, this team is going to be awful. So I think that they could slide right into the Washington Wizards category.
Yeah, I agree. And you made a good point, right? If you love these guys that you watched play in college in the tournament and you were like, that guy's probably not going to be good in the NBA, you're going to love Brooklyn Nets basketball. You're forgetting they have Drew Timme on their roster too.
No, he got cut. He got released. They released him, which is too bad because I was excited to watch them to watch him play. He will
I
be
thought he
looking
was going to
for.
get minutes in the
Yeah, I
NBA.
know. I did too. I did too.
That's a shame. All right, let's move on to our first team that we're going to have good things to say about, which is a bit painful as a Celtics fan.
Yep.
I think the New York Knicks are a very, very talented roster this year. Obviously,
Hmm.
they went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year,
Yep.
and then they added a very dependable backup point guard in Jordan Clarkson, who can come and actually like run the second unit and has proven that he can do so.
They
I think the New York Knicks might be finals favorites to come out of the East.
I think finals favorites is a little bit high for them. But that being said, the Eastern Conference is still much weaker than the West. They also added Gershon Yabusele to their roster, who's a very serviceable small forward, power forward player. Um, I'm not seeing a team out of the Eastern Conference that I like more than this Knicks roster. So I am going to have up maybe Cleveland. That would be my reservation. Is Cleveland a better team this year than the New York Knicks? New York Knicks have a new head coach, Mike Brown. I'm going to say that they're a contender, not necessarily a finals favorite.
Okay, I'll put them in contenders, but I think you're right. Like, I think in maybe a different year, they wouldn't be in that finals conversation, but the East is very weak this year.
Yep.
And I mean, they're keeping the same core of guys and they're adding an actually competent head coach that has proven to be very good, both with what he's given and in the playoffs. So
Mhm.
I actually have a lot of confidence in them. I'm going to put them in contenders.
You also have to remember with a team like New York that the Knicks are always going to nick, right? Like that's kind of been the
It's
story
what they
about
do.
them for 100 years, right? So you're expecting them that what can go wrong will go wrong for this roster, and we will keep you updated on them because they're going to be one of the only teams out of the Eastern Conference that you can consistently look at and be like, that will be a top 4 team in the conference come the playoffs, in my opinion.
For sure. I think they're top two. Um, all right. Toronto Raptors. I'm going to be
Bad,
honest with you. I don't know a
bad
lot about
team.
this team. I think they could be kind of frisky. They have some players on their team who could maybe be a pretty fun. I mean, they have Emmanuel Quickly, Brandon Ingram,
RJ
Jakob
Barrett,
Poeltl,
Scotty
RJ
Barnes,
Barrett, Scotty Barnes. I
Grady
think they could
Dick.
be frisky. I think they could be frisky, Al.
I think they're fun to watch, but they don't get over the play in purgatory for me. I mean, this team this team has not proven anything. Again, they're still playing in the Eastern Conference, which is a little bit weaker, but they're gonna play Sandro Mamushkavili like 15 to 20 minutes a night, probably. It's not a recipe for winning basketball games. I think this team will be in the play-in.
All right. Put them there. Next, we got the Utah Jazz, who
Oh boy.
obviously were a huge story in the draft, taking Ace Bailey,
Hmm.
which was, I mean, kind of a head scratching move for everyone, just all around.
Yep.
Alex, I see nothing from this team that makes me be like, they're going to be good. I see nothing from them that makes me even think that they'll be in play in purgatory. I think they have a couple guys that might be fun to watch, but besides that, I'm going to slide them in at Tankathon, I think.
I think Tankathon's the right move for them for one more year. They still have Larry Markkinen. I wouldn't expect him to be on the roster come the trade deadline. Kevin Love's on the Utah Jazz. Welcome to the first Hall of Random
Hey, clap it up
inductee,
for
Kevin
Kevin
Love.
Love, the first member of the Hall of Random. Make sure you tune in this week. We'll have a new player up for debate.
So I think I agree with you. I don't think this team is going to be very good. Like we've said, the Western Conference is just an absolute dogfight this year. Expect to see some more from Kyle Filipowski this year, I think.
Yep.
Maybe even Keontae George will slide into a bigger role. And I like Walker Kessler a lot from this roster. But again, like I don't see them producing at a high level if I had to guess. So I think Tankathon is the right tier for them.
Moving forward, we have another huge story from the offseason. The Houston Rockets added Kevin Durant to
They sure
their
did.
lineup, which they finished second in the West last year.
Hmm.
The one thing that you were kind of missing if you were the Rockets was a dependable scorer, a guy who's going to go out there and give you buckets. I think Kevin Durant slides into this team nicely alongside pieces like Sengun and whichever one of the Thompson twins is on the Rockets. For the life of me, I can't quite get it
It's
down.
Amen Thompson is on the Rockets.
That is correct. It is Amen Thompson, who I expect to take another step this year. Obviously, the Rockets lost Fred VanVleet to a season-ending ACL injury, which is, I mean, pretty much tragic if you're a Rockets fan.
Yeah,
But I still expect this team to be one of the better teams in the West, Alex. I don't hate seeing them as contenders.
I agree. I think contenders is the right slot for them. Obviously, you're going all in. You're expecting that maybe Reed Shepherd gets some minutes this year. You didn't have many to allocate to him last year because Fred VanVleet was your starting point guard. But making a move for Kevin Durant is something that is going to put you into instant contender ranking. I think Jabari Smith Jr. will probably look good this year as well. So I like this team a lot. I think that they have a lot of good pieces. And look, Ime Udoka has proven time and time again that his teams can play defense, and defense is something that is going to translate at any level of the NBA. So we're going to take the Houston Rockets to be contenders. I'm with you there.
The next team is New Orleans Pelicans. Main story coming out of the Pelicans camp is that Zion Williamson is skinny again. Good for
Mm-hmm.
him. He really needed something to distract us from the rest of whatever the hell is going on with him.
Yep.
Um, this Pelicans team is bad through and through. They're not going to be good this
I
year.
don't know, dude. I don't know. I don't know if bad's the right word.
Is
I think they could
play in
be kind of
purgatory the
fun.
right term, or are you
Yeah.
looking to put them in frisky?
I think you could put them into play in purgatory. You obviously get rid of Brandon Ingram, who was your second highest producing player when he's healthy. The big question with this team is, will Zion be healthy? Which you're never really going to get a straight answer to. I think the answer is that if DeJounte Murray comes back from his injury well, they still have Trey Murphy, they still have Herb Jones, they still have Jose Alvarado, they still have Yves Missi, who looked good this year. Derek Queen's going to be coming off the bench for this team. I kind
And
of
and
like
and
this
as I
Pelicans
learned
team.
last night, Jordan Poole is also on the Pelicans now.
Yes, which I didn't know either, which is super funny. But I kind of like this Pelicans team to be a play in purgatory type of team. Yeah, I don't think they're low enough to be in the tankathon, to be honest
I kind of like putting them in frisky.
with you.
I think they could be
I
a team
wouldn't.
that, and I think the definition of frisky, just to make this clear, is these teams aren't going to be good. They're around the same skill level as play in purgatory,
Yeah,
but they have the potential to go out and like beat a random team in a game that might mean something. Um, and they have fun players that like if you scroll past the game on your YouTube TV, you're like, I might go watch uh, Jordan Poole play. I might go watch Derek Queen play for a little bit. I
right.
think they're our first team that fits into frisky.
All right, I like it. I'm with you. We're riding high on the Pelicans this year, which could blow up in your face depending on how healthy they are. But I like it. I like it. I'm excited to see how they do.
Oh, this is a big team coming up next. Alex, talk to me about the Los Angeles Lakers.
They have to be contenders just because of what this roster construction is. LeBron's going to miss the first month of the season, it sounds like. But like, listen to the guys on this team. They got Luka. Obviously, you're expecting him to be really good for them. They signed DeAndre Ayton, who isn't great, but isn't bad at center. I mean, he just can't play defense. They have the White Boys and Austin Reeves, Jake LaRavia, Dalton Connect. Like, this team could be really good, or they could be fine. Like, I don't see them being poor. I think they'll be anywhere from that maybe 4 to 8 range in the Western Conference because, like we've said before, it is kind of a dogfight. They signed Marcus Smart, which is an interesting move for them as well this offseason, which I don't hate. I'm going to put this team into frisky if I had to guess. I don't necessarily think that they're in the range of contender, but I think they could have some fun games.
I agree. I don't think they're on the same level as the Knicks or the Rockets, but I do think that they're on that upper level of frisky.
Okay.
Um, when I was deciding what tiers to make, and I decided on play in purgatory, it was
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted a place for the Chicago Bulls to land
Yeah.
on this list.
Yep.
When you think of the play in, you think of the Chicago Bulls. I'm going to just put them there right now.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about that one anymore.
Yeah.
They will be in the plan.
They're going to be in the play in, and they're going to be the 10 seed.
That being said, I like the fact that they don't have like Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan on their roster anymore. Just get Nikola Vucevic off there, and they've done away with that era of basketball in Chicago. But yeah, this team
Alex, how many weeks before we're asking when Billy Donovan's going to be fired?
I've been saying it for 2 years, so he must have something on the Bulls ownership or whatever. But yeah, I don't know when that's gonna happen.
Yeah, he must be in bed with a Reinsdorf. The Minnesota Timberwolves are one of those teams that every single year for the past 5 years we have had not an ounce of a clue what is going on in this team, and they end up being good. Look, Anthony Edwards is turning into the face of the NBA.
Yes.
But I still have a hard time putting them into the same tier as the Knicks and the Rockets. I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be on, around the middle of the pack in the West. But I can't put them any higher than frisky.
I agree. I don't think this roster is. It's hard to say. I mean, they do have so many good pieces that I would probably tend to lean towards contender over frisky. I think they're better than both New Orleans and Los Angeles. I think they're on the same tier level as the Rockets, if I had to guess. I don't think they're finals favorites out of the Western Conference. That's clearly going to be saved for either the Nuggets or the OKC Thunder. Um, but I just can't, in good faith, put them in frisky, knowing that there are teams like the Spurs and the Memphis Grizzlies that are coming down
This
the
is
line
true.
here.
This is true. Yes.
So I do think that they slide into that contender role.
Okay, we can put them in contenders. The Portland Trailblazers are perennially a bad team in the NBA.
Yep.
I think I slide them in tankathon right next to the Jazz.
I
I
mean, they
think they
just paid
have,
some people. They Damian Lillard's going to play this year.
but not until the back half. Like if they get into the back half of the season and they're doing Portland Trailblazer stuff, you can't, in good faith, put him back on the court and risk a career-ending injury. I think this Blazers team has some very bright spots, or at least they
Yeah,
did last year. Tuamani Kamara was phenomenal defensively last year. I mean, up there with the best defenders in the league. Um,
agreed.
you signed Drew Holiday. The
Hmm.
Celtics got off that contract, so now you have a dependable player at point guard. Donovan Clingan looks good down the line. Uh, Maybe
Denny
you can get
Advia's
Robert
on this
Williams
team
healthy.
now.
Denny
Shaden
Advia's on this
Sharp got
team.
signed. Like
Shaden
Scoot
Sharp is shined.
Henderson.
I mean, you are hoping and praying that Scoot Henderson becomes a starting point guard in this league, but
I'm
I,
talking myself into playing, bro.
but the West is so good. You have to think about the teams that are coming.
The West is really good. It's
Do
a
you
very
do
good
you
point.
have them above the teams, or do you think that they're a top 10 team in the West right now? Probably not, which would make
Probably
them
not.
not play in purgatory.
Agreed. Let's throw them into tankathon, but a high tankathon. That's like an A minus tankathon.
The upper echelon of
Yeah.
tankathon. The next team is the Denver Nuggets. They're one of those teams that are going to be good this year. Talk to me
Hmm.
about them.
I think that they might potentially be the finals favorite coming out of the Western Conference this year. I mean, they are practically the exact same team we've seen out there for the past 2 years. Nikola Jokic is obviously the people's favorite for the best player in the league. You added Cameron Johnson to your roster. Jamal Murray is going to be the exact same player. You saw good things from Christian Braun this offseason. Aaron Gordon continues to take steps towards being a good contending player. I think this team is all going to be entirely contingent on how well Nikola Jokic plays. And if his past play is any indication, they will be back in finals contention this upcoming season. I think if we could put more than one team from the Western Conference in finals favorites, it would be the Nuggets and the OKC Thunder. Um, I don't know if we're allowed to do that based off of the parameters, but
I just don't think that you can say in good faith that their entire roster is better than the OKC Thunder when the Thunder were so dominant throughout the playoffs last year and are
100%
also returning their entire team with no changes.
agreed. So if we're going to have one finals favorite from each conference, I think you put the Nuggets in contender. But once again, they're going to be battling at the top of that conference as they are
Uh,
perennially.
yeah, I mean, you literally said finals contention.
Mm-hmm.
That would put them in contenders.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair
Like
enough.
they're not the team to beat in the West. The team to beat in the West is our next one, the OKC Thunder.
Yes.
Everyone has the Thunder circled as their Super Bowl this year,
Yes.
which
I
is
agree.
why they, to me, are the clear finals favorites to come out of the West.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that like that may change throughout the year, but the way that this roster is constructed, if they can stay healthy, I think that they are the team to beat in the West.
I agree. I agree with you 100%. They returned practically everybody. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's coming off an MVP season. Chet Holmgren will be healthy. Jalen Williams is dealing with some stuff, but he'll be healthy. I mean, this team got some good pieces in the draft. I felt like Thomas Sorber is going to be a good piece for them. They have some new guys on this team. Chris Youngblood could maybe see some minutes. Like, I think this team was constructed perfectly for what they did in the Western Conference playoffs last year, and they're going to be primed to do it again. I think they're the clear indication of a finals favorite and probably the best team that we've seen since the Celtics, in likelihood to go back to back. If I had to make a tier list of the past however many years that we haven't had a back to back champion.
Yes, it has been since the Warriors. Looking forward towards the Memphis Grizzlies, this one feels like a frisky team. We don't really know what we have with them, but we
Yep.
do know that they do have the potential to have one of those seasons where they are like randomly in contention for the West. Um, I'm not going to put them in contenders, but I think that they're on that same level as the Lakers in terms of frisky.
I think they're a little worse than the Lakers because
Because you don't have
I
Luka
don't know.
Doncic and LeBron. I
I just
understand that.
I don't love this roster. I don't even know who their head coach is right now, to be honest with you. After they fired Zach Jenkins.
Taylor
So
Jenkins, yeah.
Taylor
Um,
Jenkins.
but you know that you know they could be fun. You know
They
they could
could
be
be
a little
fun. I
frisky.
think they're definitely going to be fun. I think they're going to be definitely a little bit frisky. I'm fine to put them in frisky. I think that's probably the right tier for them.
The Dallas Mavericks are another team that I'm seeing is, I mean, they're on that upper level of frisky. Obviously, you're missing Kyrie Irving. He's not going to play this year.
Yep.
Probably not going to play this year.
Yep.
But you just drafted Cooper Flagg. You have Anthony Davis on your roster. You went out and signed D'Angelo Russell. You're returning these big men that you already had some of the biggest big men depth in the league with Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively.
Mm-hmm.
I think this team fits perfectly into frisky. I can't confidently call them a contender yet, at least not this season, but they definitely feel frisky to me.
Yeah, they're a team I'm going to watch. I like
Yeah.
Cooper Flagg a lot. I mean, I think this team could be really fun. I think Cooper Flagg's going to play point guard a bunch for them, which is really interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah, but this is definitely a frisky team if I've ever seen one, so I think that's the right place for them. Another team you have coming up right now that I think is going to be frisky is the San Antonio Spurs team. I will 100% watch almost every Spurs game I can because Wemby could be the next like face of the league type of player. And the way that he was moving in the preseason, like if you saw the clips of him like body bumping people and dunking at like 7'5", I mean, whew, that team could be really, really good, or it could all blow up in their face, and we don't really know which way that's going to go.
I don't know. I think they drafted really well. They have Carter Bryant, who they got from Arizona. They have Dylan
Great
Harper,
defender.
who they took second overall.
Yep.
Wemby had one of those off seasons where it was like, what is this guy doing? He shaved his head and was hanging out with monks and like playing full on soccer scrimmages. And he's also grown to 7'5" now. And if you didn't think he could get any bigger, he is actually still growing because he's that young.
Right.
I think this team's frisky, but I think this team could get their way into contenders throughout the year. I guess we will see.
I mean, they signed Luke Cornett. Like, that's the sign of a contending team. I mean, that's a guy who knows how to win in the playoffs. But yeah, I agree with you. I think this team is the definition of frisky.
A team that's the definition of ass is the Phoenix Suns. They're going to be serving a sentence for their big three that, I mean, failed miserably.
Yes.
I mean, they have Jalen Green. They still have Bradley Beal.
Maluwach. They have Dylan Brooks. I mean, they have some pieces. Mark Williams is now their center. Like, they'll be okay.
They'll be okay. I think play-in purgatory is the spot for them.
100%. And they just paid Devin Booker like $70 million a year. So, I mean, they're committing to him long term.
The next team that we're going to talk about is one that I am super high on this year for the first time ever. I think this Clippers team is going to be very good, and I think they could come out and contend for a top 2 spot in the West, potentially, depending on health, obviously. They went out and they signed John Collins. They went out and they signed Brook Lopez. You're returning James Harden and Kawhi Leonard. They are surrounded by some phenomenal pieces on this team. And I think that if they stay healthy, which is obviously the biggest thing for this team, they could do some real damage in the West. I mean, there was a time this summer when they were making signings and people were saying this is the team to beat in the West. So I am high on the Clippers, and I think that they'll not only be good, but also be fun to watch this year.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. I think this team could be an absolute disaster depending on health. They have the oldest roster in the league. I don't necessarily know what this team is going to look like. Will Kawhi Leonard play? Will he get suspended halfway through for this tampering investigation?
Bradley Beal is on the Clippers.
He is. Yes, he's on the Clippers. That. So is Nicholas Batum, Chris Dunn. Like, they have some
Chris
pieces.
Paul is back on the Clippers. You still have Ivica Zubac, who looked great last year. You have Bogdan Bogdanovic, who looked great last year.
Like, they have a team full of guys who you know exactly what you're getting. Right? Like, you know exactly what type of player they're going to be. Can it work? It hasn't before. Another snake-bitten franchise is the LA Clippers. I don't know. I think we'll be revisiting that one. But if you're this high on them, I'm willing to rock with it.
I mean, they also have Derek Jones Jr. I just named 11 guys on their roster who have proven roles in the NBA. Yeah. So they are the oldest team in the league, but they're also probably the deepest. And that is huge, especially when you're dealing with a bunch of guys who might not be healthy.
Okay.
So I think this Clippers team's going to be good. And if I'm wrong, we'll come back to this clip and we'll put in an episode, and I'll just be sitting like this with both my hands up. But
Okay.
I am willing to put my stake in the ground here.
Cool.
All right, moving on to the Golden State Warriors. I'm not high on this team. They have some
Interesting.
young pieces. They have some young pieces, and they have some proven vets in the NBA. But I just wasn't particularly impressed with what I was seeing last year.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a very similar roster to the one that, I mean, they are similar. I think they're going to be a very similar record wise team to the one that they were last year. There may be frisky, there may be play-in, and those would be the only two spots that I would consider for them. I think that
I,
they'd be on the really high end of play-in and the really low end of frisky.
I agree. I'm going to put them in play-in just because to
Okay.
be frisky, you have to be something that I'm like excited to watch when I see the game come across my feed.
Mhm.
I'm just not really excited to watch Warriors basketball this year.
Okay.
The Detroit Pistons are one that I would like to hear your thoughts on.
Mhm. Yeah, this is an interesting roster this year. You obviously had a lot of improvement. Well, it's kind of hard not to improve from one of the worst seasons in NBA history to being a playoff team last year. Um, they returned practically everyone. Jaden Ivey went down with a season ending injury. He'll probably be back this year. Tobias Harris looked more like himself than he ever did in the Philadelphia 76ers uniform. They had Michael Beasley had a career year if he's not suspended for whatever the hell he was doing. I think he's off the roster
It's
now, but gambling.
not Michael Beasley. It's
Malik
Malik
Beasley.
Beasley.
Malik Beasley, sorry. Yeah, Michael Beasley has been out of the league for a very long time. Cade Cunningham is going to be one of those guys that's in conversation for first team All NBA this year. Is the rest of the roster good enough to get them over the hump? I really don't think so. But like we've said, this Eastern Conference is going to be so weak that maybe a guy like a Ron Holland gets a bunch of minutes for you. Maybe Jalen Duren continues to take steps. Maybe Isaiah Stewart becomes a starting guard. Asar Thompson, the other Thompson twin, maybe he hasn't shown as many signs of being a good player as his brother has, but defensively he's been fantastic for them, right? So I think that this team could be frisky.
I agree,
That
100%.
so I think that that's probably the right tier for them. They're going to be either fun to watch or they're going to have games that you're excited to see. Like I don't know. I'm also just rooting for this Detroit Pistons team because I think that I like a lot of the guys on the roster. And obviously, when you have a season where you lose 40 straight games or whatever the hell it was at that one point, I think it was 29 straight games. You want those guys to succeed, and I think Cade Cunningham is a good enough player to do that.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. Pretty much everything you just said. The Sacramento Kings, to me, they're an old team.
Yeah.
You have obviously proven veterans: Westbrook, DeRozan, Levine,
Are they proven
Sabonis,
veterans or are
Harrison
they
Barnes.
proven are they playing veterans, right? Like these
No,
guys.
no. So exactly, I think that this team fits right into the play-in purgatory.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you.
The Cleveland Cavaliers, as you mentioned, we saved this top spot for them to be finals favorites. Looking at this list, they're the only team left that I would feel comfortable putting there.
Mhm.
Let's put the Cavs in finals favorites until they prove us otherwise, which I'm not necessarily confident that that won't happen.
Okay. I agree
I
with you.
think this Cavs team is good, but as we saw last year, they're liable to failure.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell has never made it past the second round.
Yep.
We have not seen that yet. So, I mean, I'm interested to see what happens. I hope they do well.
Yeah, I mean, they return everyone. They sign Lonzo Ball. You hope that he can be healthy for the whole season and be a solid player for them.
For
Um,
sure.
But again, a team when you have so much two-way depth with guys like Evan Mobley, guys like DeAndre Hunter, guys like Tyrese Proctor, who you just got in the draft, Max Strus could knock down a three. Like this roster is constructed to win games, especially in a weakened Eastern Conference. And you saw the way that they played in the regular season last year. I think that just attributes itself to them being the finals favorite coming out of this Eastern Conference, where the team that just went to the finals, the Indiana Pacers, who we're probably going to talk about later, they're not primed to do that again, right? Like they're battling so many injuries. The Boston Celtics seem to be more of a non-factor than normal years. What do you get from Philadelphia? Like all these types of questions need to iron themselves out until that happens. I think that this team is probably the finals favorite coming out of the East.
The Boston Celtics for us, I mean, I think we know this team's going to be in frisky. They have some players that are going to be fun to watch.
Yep.
Anthony Simons feels like he's on a prove that you can be an NBA starter contract with us. And then
Mhm,
if not, then we'll move him after this year.
mhm.
Luca Garza is finally getting a fair chance in the NBA to be a real contributing player.
Yep.
The Celtics obviously have no bigs. That's their biggest problem. But can a guy like Neemias Queta step up and be good? You still have Peyton Pritchard, who's probably going to slide into a starting role coming off a Six-Man of the Year win. And I think that this could possibly be the year that we see Derek White as an all-star in the NBA.
Correct. And I mean, you've also heard Jason Tatum say he wants to play this year. Will that happen? I don't know, but it also changes their trajectory if he's healthy and able to play at a high level, which are
And I think
two
that
very big factors that, you don't know if that's ever going to happen, right? But he is running, he's moving around again, which is good from Celtics fan perspectives. I agree with you. I think this team is frisky this year.
yeah, they're frisky for sure, and Jason Tatum's recovery is going much faster than people would think, but I think that whether or not you rush him back this year depends on what you get out of your bigs. I think the
Mm.
Celtics team will be hovering around that 4 and 5 spot in the
Mhm.
East, but if you don't have any confidence that you can make a serious playoff run, then I wouldn't really rush him back this season. I would wait
Agreed.
until you test free agency, maybe test the trade deadline, see what you can get. But until then, I think this team sticks in frisky. And I hope to see Jaylen Brown take a step and maybe become more of a fan favorite in Boston because I feel like he gets kind of a bad rep sometimes.
Okay.
I think looking at our list right now and looking at who's coming, this Philadelphia 76ers team has to go into the contenders tier, but I
Yeah.
don't want to put them there because I hate the Sixers, and I do truly hate them. And I also just am not that confident in their roster either being healthy or being that good when they're healthy. But
Yeah.
I think you have to put them in that conversation based on the names that you see.
I agree. I think Joel Embiid playing more than 50 games in a season, while unlikely, takes you from being a good team to a great team. Um, you never know what you're going to get with this roster, what that's going to look like health wise. They are aging a little bit. Jared McCain is going to miss more time this year. What do you have from this roster? I don't know yet, but I agree. Like, if we're talking about this Eastern Conference as being as weak as it is, the Philadelphia 76ers roster construction and the head coaching of Nick Nurse should get them to a 3 or 4 seed, in my opinion.
Uh, should we put the Charlotte Hornets in Tankathon or Washington Wizards?
I
That's the
think
question.
Tankathon is the right spot for them.
They have
Um,
some players that could
they
make
have
them
some
actually a
players.
pretty they could be a pretty frisky team, but I'm
No.
not confident enough to put them there. You have Brandon Miller coming back. Hopefully Lonzo Ball can stay healthy. Miles Bridges can spend some time on the court, but besides that,
Con
there's no
Knipple.
one that yeah, I
Um,
mean, you drafted Con Knipple. He's going into a really kind of poor setting for a guy like him. It
yeah.
reminds me a lot of Luke Kennard in his setting.
Okay.
Um, I think Tankathon's the right spot for the Hornets. And it feels
Yeah.
like if we had play in purgatory and then Tankathon purgatory, the Hornets would be in Tankathon purgatory. They can't get
Okay.
out of it.
Orlando's an interesting one, just top to bottom. I mean, this
Well,
roster has.
wait,
We're not even there. Oh, we're not even there yet. Oh, we. Yeah, just slide that right in there. We don't got to talk about Washington.
Yeah, we'll put the Wizards in the Wizards tier.
We were talking about the Capital One Arena the other day, and Jack was like, should I just go outside and start quizzing people outside the Capital One Arena of like who the starting five of the Washington Wizards is? I bet they don't even know they play basketball games in there. Like, I mean, it's just
Yeah, it's pretty much a
it's a
concert
bad
arena
time.
here.
It's a
I
bad
live in the
time in
city
Washington.
and I have not seen anyone wear Wizards gear all year.
Mm.
Maybe for the past 365 days. And I've been to a Wizards game.
It's impressive.
I
It's
want them
impressive.
to be good so badly, but I've accepted that they won't be as long as I'm living here.
Yeah. Let's talk about Orlando because this team is very interesting as well. I think that they're probably on the higher side of frisky if I had to guess. They have Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner. They have some guys on this team that have been okay. What do you expect them to do in the playoffs is a big question. You signed Desmond Bain, or you trade for Desmond Bain. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this team. Like, I mean, I think that they've consistently overperformed their expectations, and I don't necessarily know if they're going to be a team that's going to be able to take the next step. Are they better than the Boston Celtics this year? That's kind of my question, like
I
for a benchmark.
I think it's a good question too. I think adding Desmond Bain was huge for this team, and getting rid
Okay.
of Contavious Caldwell-Pope was also huge for this team.
Okay.
They're going to have more of a shooting presence. It gives you someone else to work off of. I think if Jalen Suggs remains healthy, the answer is yes. This team is better than the Celtics are. I think in order to consider someone a contender, they have to be a pretty much top 4 candidate. And I think that the Orlando Magic, on paper this season, are a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference. I'm going to put them in contenders, but on
All
the
right.
lower side. Definitely the lowest team in here, in my opinion.
Okay.
But I
Okay.
think that they do actually have the potential to be a good basketball team this year.
All right. I don't necessarily disagree. I think that you have a good um yeah, I think that was a good synopsis of them. Miami to me is a team that's
Huh?
probably going into the
Huh?
play-in.
Yeah. What do you think? Huh?
Um
It's it's play-in purgatory.
yeah. Yeah.
They're gonna be hovering around the play-in if they even get there. The team's not good. It's the same team more or less that it has been for years,
Mhm.
except you added Norman Powell, which
Mhm.
doesn't really move the needle. This team to me feels like their ceiling is the play-in and their floor is tankathon.
Agreed.
Their
Agreed.
ceiling might be Giannis wants out, actually.
I could see them trading a guy like a Tyler Hero or a Bam Adebayo during some point at this season. Um, they do have Eric Spoelstra as their head coach, right? So that is something you have to take into account when it comes to this team overall. Is that they do have one of the best head coaches in the NBA. What that's going to look like, I don't know. I don't
I
know.
think that's true, but we also we witnessed an era post Big Three where Eric Spoelstra was the head coach, but the best 3 players on the Miami Heat were Goran Dragic, Kelly Olynyk, and Tyler Johnson, right? So we don't
Yeah.
yes, he's a good coach, but he also needs pieces in order to show his full potential as a coach, which I think is fair.
hmm I agree.
Um, the Atlanta Hawks, I think, have the potential to be a good team.
Yep.
I wouldn't put them in contender, but they
Nope.
definitely have pieces this year more than they've had in the past in terms of dynamic pieces as well. They just have to stay healthy.
hmm
I think that I would tend to put them on the lower end of frisky, kind of like a New Orleans Pelicans team. Um, because I don't think they'll be in the play-in this year in the Eastern Conference, especially with teams like the Raptors, Bulls, and Heat competing. Um, but I'm gonna I'm gonna they do love the play-in
They
tournament. To be
love the
fair,
play-in tournament. They do.
I think they have to be play-in purgatory.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they are the play-in team. When you think of the play-in, you think of
Yeah.
this team in particular. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't see them being a team that gets to the upper echelon of the Eastern Conference. That being said, they have good pieces in Yeka Kongwu, Zachary Risarche, the number 1 pick from last year's draft, is coming back this year, right? Like, so they have some guys on this roster that can mix it up. I think Trae Young's going to average over 10 assists this year. Hot take by me. I mean, not really all that hot. Like, people love Trae Young, and what he does is pass to his teammates. So they could maybe sneak into frisky, but they're not a title contender for sure.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And actually, if you look at the Eastern Conference, with what we have, I'm going to slide the Pacers into Tankathon. We know
Agreed.
that they have some good players, but we know that they're also just retooling, waiting for
Yep.
Halliburton to come back.
Yep. Agreed.
In the Eastern Conference, we have Cavs at 1, and then Knicks, 76ers, and Magic in the contenders.
hmm
And then we have Pistons and Celtics at frisky. And then the
Yep.
last 4 teams that we have are the Raptors, Bulls, Heat, and Hawks in play-in purgatory. So it feels like we did perfectly with this Eastern Conference.
Yep.
Um, yeah, we have Thunder as finals favorites coming out of the West, and then obviously you have the Rockets, Timberwolves, Nuggets, and Clippers as contenders, and then you have a lot of frisky teams, and that's pretty
Yep.
much it. Um,
Yep.
so I think that was a pretty good list, Alex. I think that what we did there was good, and I guess I'm kind of excited to watch this. I mean, just talking about basketball makes me want to watch it. I'm definitely going to tune in tonight.
Yeah.
But while football season's on, I think this NBA season might take a little longer to ramp up than normal.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that the NBA is always at its best when football is either slowing down or isn't here anymore. I mean, around Christmas time, it usually starts to pick up in the NBA for me. But we'll definitely be engaged in watching it. We may not pick it as much as we have some ideas for that coming down the line here. But yes, I think I agree with you. I think that I am excited to watch NBA coming back. Maybe I just was more distracted this year than normal when it comes to this. And I think that we made a really good tier list. I'm as a neutral fan this year, it feels more so like I'm not going to be able to be like, okay, the Celtics are going to win the championship. Any other game doesn't really matter to me. Now I get to like explore the NBA realm a little bit more and enjoy some more teams from the East and the Western Conference. And we'll keep you guys updated as to what's going on in both of those as the year goes on, I'm sure.